August 20, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on a 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. Very similar to yesterday. It was a very slow grinding day. Today it didn't really move in any direction. It just kind of pretty much stayed range bound in about a 30, I would say about 34, 35 point range from the highs to the lows. I didn't find very many setups like yesterday. And today I took two trades. One was a loss, and then the other one was a winner. And then other than that, there weren't very many setups after that, like these three setups. And this one I noticed something, and I'll talk about it briefly. So in the pre-market, there was also no economic data today to really move the market. This is all the trading that happened in the overnight all the way to the open. So you can already tell it's going to be a very low volume day. I noticed this, and maybe this is a second entry long, but there's a doji candle for the signal bar below the EMA. It is in the pre-market, and as you can see, this candle to this candle, this is a full 14 minutes later, which is a really long time to wait on a suspect setup. So the first setup that I saw, and actually became the first trade that I took, was I drew the pre-market highs and the pre-market lows of the day, and on the open, it bounced off the low of the range. It started rallying up on this green up channel. And this is actually, it was a anticipation entry, which I should have waited for the confirmation. So you have a break. At the time, I wasn't sure this was a clean break, but it is a break now. The break is a first entry long pullback. It's a second entry long. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. On the second entry long, which is confirmed here, I thought, okay, the EMA seems to be holding. It could be a bounce and move back upwards. But I failed to take into account that this could be the top of the pre-market trading range, and this could be a failed breakout on a larger time frame. So I was expecting a test of this new high, but the fallacy here is I already had a break of this green up channel on this side. So there's already an overshoot, came back down. First entry long here, second entry long here. And so then I entered right at the highs of this original signal bar, and my stop's actually down here. And I'm surviving this, but it's taking a while to close, or taking a while to decide which direction to go. And at this point, I'm not really confident on this trade anymore. What I should have done was kind of wait for either a higher low or to see if prices are actually moving right back into the pre-market trading range. And so you can see this candle takes me out. It takes me out with my stop down here. So it's my first trade and first loss. And I look back in hindsight, you know, I should have considered or thought that if this is an overshoot, then I should be more cautious because typically you want this to not break yet. So you want pretty much this to be the channel so they can have more confidence it's going to come up and test the highs. When the channel fits already really nicely down here, you clearly already have an overshoot. So this could have already been a break and tested the high. So lesson learned, probably just should have skipped it. There's too many ambiguities there. Prices move down. It comes back down, it touches the other side of the pre-market lows, so that's pretty interesting. I see this break of this orange down channel, and I'm expecting a test of low. So this first attempt down, technically is this first attempt down here, second attempt down, but it keeps pushing down and lower. It's a failed breakout here. And it starts moving sideways, and I thought, okay, this is probably a trading range. I actually had my trading range lower, actually, excuse me, the low end or the support side a little bit higher right here. And it pushed up. So this is actually where I take my second trade. I see clearly it's in a range, and I'm thinking a short. So I did see this as one attempt up, second attempt up, third attempt up. When I saw this, I wasn't ready to take a trade yet. And I saw the close and match down here. So I thought there's probably enough momentum to get a quick 1 point scalp out of this. So I actually entered one tick below. Go ahead and bring this up. One tick below. This is where the core of my contracts got taken out. And then I moved my stop loss from up here down to break even +1, and it got stopped out there. So if I actually kept it up here and waited and was more patient, but it risked giving back the profits, you could see that it would have worked out and continued downwards. However, I wasn't really willing to, give back any of the profits from the core position, especially knowing that it could bounce down here and move right back up to the top and take me out. So I'm okay with taking the trade because it's a profit gain. I didn't really give back any profits at all. It just missed out on some profits. Then prices continue moving down. EMA is holding. I don't see any clean second entries. You do have a second entry short here. It's a new low, first entry short right here. So it pushes up. This is the first time it breaks below the previous. First entry short, second entry short. These are side-by-side dojis, so that gives me pause. This yellow down channel doesn't really exist. All I had was a potential trend line support here. But whether the channel is actually up here, which I had a line up here for, but you can't really trust it yet because there's not enough confirmation, or slightly lower, like down to here, I wasn't really sure. So I couldn't use that as a key entry point, thinking that it might have some resistance here. Prices then continue moving down. It just kind of chops sideways. It's really, really slow here. It continues. This is well, I think I called this a possible setup because you do actually have the trading range a little higher right here. And I saw this as a failed breakout, and I thought, okay, maybe it's actually slightly lower here. Still fits pretty nice. Failed breakout, pushes up. I was weary to know if it actually would break out to the other side, but you do have a new low here. First entry short pullback, second entry short confirmed. Multiple tests of this supporting this resistance. And I wasn't 100% confident on this yellow down channel, but you clearly see that there's a leg pushing down. So if you were playing this yellow down channel, you could argue that there's a first break and it does want to go back down and test the extreme. But I wasn't really sure, so I left it alone. Looks like it would have worked though. And at this point, I do draw this channel, this range down to here. Looks like it's a two-tier channel now, up here and down here. Then prices continue moving. No clean second entries. You do have a second entry long here, but it's a terrible signal bar. And unfortunately, there was no good entry because this is a terrible signal bar. To enter this is really risky. Inside, it's clearly showing a bearish sign. And then if you just happen to jump on it for, I don't know, just a weird reason, you would have been able to take this and capture it. But this is a high risk thing to do, just to say, well, obviously, this is going to be a second entry long. So prices then move up. I do see a lower high here, but this lower high is more of an almost trade because I see this push up, break of the green, tests the new high, comes back, makes a second attempt up. The problem with this lower high is it's the wrong color. I need it to be red instead of bullish. And so it tested the new high. So you're thinking the uptrend may have played out. It doesn't look like it's really going into this pre-market trading range. And this pre-market trading range is losing more and more, I guess, importance as an actual trading range because it didn't really quite respect it over here. Maybe it's doing something, but I didn't really trust it and have it as a factor to worry about if it's actually moving back into range. But if this was a red candle, this lower high would have been perfect. After the close of this trigger bar, I think it would have been risky to try to enter one tick below or just at the low because you're potentially running into the EMA, which may or may not act as support. But if you try to enter way up here, as you can see, it wouldn't have failed you anyways. So it's just kind of like an almost trade. It just wasn't set up quite right. Prices then continue moving down, makes one leg, consolidates, and it pushes another leg down. There's a second entry short here, first entry short, second entry short, but this is a bad signal bar. By the time this big red candle closes, you're running into potential support, so there's no real trade here. You could argue there's a new high here, first entry long, second entry long. This is a bad signal bar to go long on. And then when it comes up here and then seeing this push down, you could argue maybe you're in a range and maybe a failed second entry long, but it felt a little reachy to consider all that because it already broke out twice. Maybe this candle ideally would have been matching the same size as this guy, and it's already a really large candle, so no real trade in my opinion here. Prices move down. This is what I saw, and I thought maybe there was something here, but I'll just kind of describe what I saw and why I didn't really mark it. I saw this is a new low. It's a first entry short, pullback. Second entry short. EMA looks like it's holding, push up. This looks like a lower high, but then you also have a new high here, first entry long pullback, second entry long. So here you have a lower high, prices seem to be moving down. You do have a break of this down channel. So you're thinking maybe it's going to go short, but then you have a first entry long, second entry long. And if you're hoping for a failed second entry long because it's right below the EMA, you don't get it yet. And then it pushes up. So it's a little ambiguous. I don't know. There's nothing really here, in my opinion. But in real time, I was getting a little antsy, thinking, is there a trade here? Is there a trade here? Is there a trade here? And to be honest, I was thinking, is there a short trade here? Because there's a first entry short, second entry short, higher low, push down, really strong signal bar. Is there another push down to here? What was stopping me was there's an overshoot here, unless the channel is actually lower here, but then you don't really get any good confirmation. Not to say that when it was up here you had any confirmation, so it's a little iffy. Where is the bottom? I don't know. Do I have an overshoot? I'm not sure. Then I see maybe a first entry long, second entry long. So I'm thinking, actually, could it be a first entry short, second entry short, higher low, but then it's making another leg up because it broke out of this orange up channel, tested once, tested twice, thinking, okay, maybe I'll reverse my thinking. Perhaps there's a long. But then clearly you have some potential resistance here. It looks like it pushes up. It gets a little squirrely and it comes back down. So this is I'm kind of happy that I in this case, overthought it because I said, this is not clear. I could make an argument to maybe go short, maybe go long. And so I left it alone because when it's a little unclear and you can make some decent arguments for both ways, that's probably, in my case, I'm not seeing the chart properly. I don't have the whole thing in context, in which case there should be no trade there, at least for me. If you're more experienced, then you probably have a better idea, get a feel like, okay, yeah, clearly it's doing this or clearly it's doing that. In my case, I didn't feel that way, so left it alone. Prices then continue moving up on this green up channel. It's a first entry long, second entry long. This is a decent bar for a second entry long, but it's too far from the EMA. It feels like it's a little bit in the middle of nowhere. It could be argued that this is going to test and make a new high. So maybe there's a second entry long here, but I just wasn't that keen on this doji right before it. And this doji is where it creates your first entry long, and it feels so almost like nothing. Almost like it could have been a matching candle that it didn't really need this one tick up. So this could have just been like a first entry long group together. So I saw this and I thought I'm staying away from something like this. And it finally sets up another setup that I saw, but I wasn't sure about it. Is a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short break of this orange, break of this yellow down channel. Looks like prices are moving back in right here, but uh, excuse me. You could argue that maybe it's played out on the upside and now it's moving back down on the downside. It's a decent signal bar, enough room to the bottom, and the total size of this is only 9 ticks, so it's like maybe worth its risk. It's a possible trade. I just wasn't feeling it though, so I left it alone. Then prices continue moving, and as you can see from here, this is an hour of trading, and even in the last 10 minutes, which is starting from here, so this is like 40 minutes, and then from here onwards is 10 minutes. Again, a lot of volatility in the last 10 minutes. I was just kind of like checked out at that point, thinking like I'm not going to try to force a trade or try to, see something that isn't there because I have a tendency to do that, start inventing setups or thinking, oh, that setup looks a little sketchy, but per the count, technically it is a second entry. And that's not the way you want to approach this because you do want to take things into context, seeing what overall is going on. Because if you're just taking second entries wherever they are, then you're probably going to get burned more often than not. And so that's just a recipe for disaster. So that's kind of how I saw the charts today. Not too many trades. Took 2 trades, lost one, won one. First one definitely should have skipped. Second one's a little bit better. And then after that, there wasn't really much going on. So I think it's the end of summer, end of summer finalizing slowdown, and hopefully things will pick up in the next few weeks. But I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow you get another one of these really, really slow days. So hopefully that was helpful.